Volunteers including Cinda Yeasting, Evelyn Wong, Ada Khan, Kristen Wong, and Patricia Lim. And Evelyn Law for support of ACWW over the years. Marlene Enns, wife of Jim Wong-Chu, for guidance and support. Thank you all to all the publishers who provide the author's books. Each book is for sale at the front of the restaurant over here. So please go get them while they last.
Thanks, David. And as many of you might know, LiterASIAN was launched in 2013, and it's the annual festival of Pacific Rim Asian Canadian Writing and Community Building Initiative of the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop. So this is the first of its kind within Canada, and the idea is, the purpose of LiterASIAN Writers is to promote and celebrate the works of Asian Canadian writers and artists through author readings, panel discussions, workshop events, and creating unique and important networking events, opportunities between professional and emerging writers, students, members of the broader public, and help us to learn and discuss issues of importance to Asian Canadian writing. And that's a bit of what we're doing here this evening, right, David?
Yes.
So the festival also stimulates, fosters stimulating discussions that will inspire participating artists to converse, debate, and develop new work that revolves around Asian Canadian writing. Tonight, we are going to also be announcing the long-awaited winner of the Jim Wong-Chu Emerging Writers Award. And the recipient of the Jim Wong-Chu Emerging Writers Award is also named at the festival, and their manuscript is guaranteed to be published, which is quite a great thing, and I think...
pretty awesome.
Yeah, and part of Jim's vision. The award is a community building initiative of the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop, and it's named in recognition of Jim Wong-Chu, who of course is a pioneer of Asian Canadian writing and a mentor to many, many writers and many people in this room. And so, and I believe...
I'm going to introduce you to our festival director, Mr. Alan Cho, who's an amazing fellow. Believe me, if you want something done, you ask Alan.
Wow, thanks, David. I just want to acknowledge that we decided to pick this space for a very unique reason. It was one of Jim Wong-Chu, our founder's, favorite meeting spaces. It was one that, in fact, we had our last meeting here, just right around the corner there, and our team was meeting there and then a couple of days later, Jim fell ill. So we wanted to have it back in this space because it was it's symbolic of the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop. The Asian Canadian Writers Workshop has been in existence for 25 years. It's spawned a generation of writers, of Canadian writers of Asian descent. And it's given a lot of starts to many writers over the years. It's had projects such as Ricepaper magazine, which is continuing. We're in our 23rd year. We just published an anthology, amazing anthology, featuring emerging writers from not only Canada, but all corners of the world. And of course, we have the amazing Jim Wong-Chu Emerging Writer Award. It began as the ACWW Emerging Writer Award, but because this year is a special year, one that we uniquely devote to Jim, we decided that we wanted to name the award after him. So there's such a unique symbolism behind this award. It's groomed a generation of writers. You know, the most recent Giller Prize winning author, Madeline Tien, was 1999 ACWW Emerging Writer Award. Rita Wong. Most recently, we've had Catherine Hernandez publishing Scarborough. And soon, we'll be having Philip Wynne as well, publishing his novel. So, you know, tonight's going to be a very unique night. The Jim Wong-Chu Emerging Writer Award is going to be a life-changing moment in about half an hour's time. So, without saying, we'll give it, and also today's a very unique space that we're at. We're overseeing the heart of Chinatown. If you look behind us, it's the heart of Chinatown, Shanghai Alley and Canton Alley. So this is just a very unique space where a lot of the stories, such as Disappearing Moon Cafe, Winston Joyce, J. Peony, is sort of in this area here. So symbolically, spiritually, spatially, I think it's such important and symbolic space. So the restaurant, of course, is a little tight. So we're going to be very squeezed in and packed in today. But I want you to have fun, everybody. I want you to buy books. I want you to listen to the next generation of writers when we have. Today is also the official launch of Ricepaper magazine as well, and you'll also have a chance to meet the new writers as well. But of course, our 8 wonderful featured writers as part of LiterASIAN. So thank you, everyone. I've talked quite a bit. So thank you, David.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, show of hands. How many here are writers? Just a show of hands. Wow. Oh, about over half. Well, I'm going to share a quick little story. I didn't start out as a writer. I started as a troublemaker, and Jim got me to stay out of trouble by asking me year after year till I finally gave up and I wrote a book. So I got to thank Jim for his guidance and for his perseverance.
And actually, I owe my career in broadcasting in a way to Jim Wong-Chu, because I first wrote some things for Ricepaper magazine, and Charlie Cho was the editor at the time and also working for CBC, and one thing led to another. So I have a lot to thank to the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop and to Jim Wong-Chu as well, and to Ricepaper. So as David and Alan mentioned, we do have wonderful LiterASIAN authors here tonight. So I'm just going to introduce each of them, and as I do, I'll just retell you a little bit about each of them, and I'm going to ask them all to come up here and give a friendly wave to the audience as I call your names, and just enjoy. So first of all, Janie Chang is here with us tonight, and she writes historical novels with a supernatural twist. Her books draw inspiration from family stories about her ancestors and life in China before the Second World War. Her debut novel, Three Souls, was a finalist in the 2014 BC Book Prize's Fiction Award. Her second novel, Dragon Springs Road, was released in January 2017. It's been on the national bestseller lists for the Globe and Mail and the Toronto Star. She's also the founder and main organizer of Authors for Indies, a Canada-wide grassroots event in support of independent bookstores, which we all need. So born in Taiwan, Janie has lived in the Philippines, Iran, Thailand, Canada, and New Zealand, and she now lives in Vancouver, Canada. So please welcome Janie Chang if she is here. Also, Jen Suk Fong Lee. You might know Jen as Janie. Come on up. Come on down.
Coming up here, Janie.
And Jen Suk Fong Lee, if you are here.
No, Janie.
But Jen is also one of the LiterASIAN authors, popular radio personality. You might have heard her on CBC Radio 1's On the Coast and All Points West. Her first novel, The End of East, was published in 2007. And her third novel, The Conjoined, was published in the fall of 2016. A very riveting tale, I can say from firsthand experience. And she was born and raised in East Van, and now she lives in North Burnaby with her son and a hoodlum of a dog. Yes. And
Jen's not here this evening. Okay. So she says hello, and we're here to welcome her, even though she's not here.
All right, and I know that Eleanor Guerra Campbell is here because I saw her. So come on down, Eleanor. She was a city planner, community champion, and writer, and Eleanor arrived in Canada in 1977 with a degree in English and Comparative Literature, also a master's degree in urban and regional planning. So she started working as a planner for various cities in BC and Alberta, but in 2016 she released her first novel, Stumbling Through Paradise, A Feast of Mercy for Manuel del Mundo, which is the story of the struggles of a Filipino family's immigrant journey in Canada through 3 generations. She's done so much. Eleanor is the co-founder of Canadian Filipino Net, and also she has received many, many awards, including the Vancouver Civic Merit Award and the Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Medal for all of her community service. So, pleasure to have Eleanor with us.
Catherine Hernandez is a proud queer woman of color. Radical mother, activist, theater performer, burlesque performer, writer, the artistic director of Sulong Theater Company, and the owner of Out and About Home Daycare. Her one-woman show, The Femme Playlist, premiered as Buddies in Bad Times Theater in October 2014 as part of the After Rock Play series, co-produced by B Current, Eventual Ashes, and Sulong Theater. Scarborough, published by Arsenal Pulp Press, is Catherine's first full-length fiction, and she is very honored to have received the Asian Canadians Writers Workshop Emerging Writers Award and have just been shortlisted for half the World Global Literary Award after just trying her hand at the art of fiction storytelling. Scarborough was written after several years working as a home daycare provider to Scarborough children. Catherine.
Thanks, Catherine. Also, we'd like to welcome Terry Watada to the stage, a much-published writer. He has 4 poetry collections to his credit. His latest is The Game of 100 Ghosts, and the book's a lyrical tribute to his recently departed friends and family. He's also a novelist, and his second, The Three Pleasures, was released just this past spring. Other publications include 2 histories, 2 manga, a children's biography, and a collection of short stories. So, Terry Watada. You guys are so shy. You're all in the corner. You can like stand in front and bask in the glory. Come on in front.
Stand in front of us.
You can hide the smoothie I spilt all over my dress. Also, Julia Lin is here. Julia was born in Taiwan. She lived there and in Vietnam before her family immigrated to Canada when she was 9. She's got a graduate degree in immunology. And a postgraduate degree in computing education, and she's also taught high school math and science in BC. But she was mentored by MJ Vasanji in the 2009 Humber Creative Writing Program, and so she is now the author of Mia, the first Taiwanese-Canadian book of literary fiction ever published, and the co-editor of LiterASIAN, 20 years of Ricepaper magazine. She's also the author of Shadows of the Crimson Sun, One Man's Life in Manchuria, Taiwan, and North America. And she's a member of the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop and the current treasurer of the Writers Union of Canada. Please come on down, Julia.
Welcome, Julia. Leanne Dunek is the author of a book of lyric prose entitled To Love the Coming End, published by Book Club 2017. She has published fiction, poetry, and nonfiction in various magazines and anthologies in Asia, North America, and the United Kingdom, as well as chapbooks by Leaf Press, Anzami, and Bitterzoet. I hope I pronounced those words right. In 2015, Leanne won the Alice Munro Short Story Contest. Being of mixed race, Leanne's work explores identity and culturally diverse narratives. Leanne spends half of her time in British Columbia and the other half in Asia. Leanne.
Welcome to the stage, Leanne. And we have just one more writer to introduce you to tonight. That's Leslie Shimotakahara. Her memoir, The Reading List, won the Canada-Japan Literary Prize in 2012, and her fiction has been shortlisted for the K.M. Hunter Artist Award. Her debut novel, After the Bloom, was published just this year, and in a starred review in Booklist, the novel has been praised as personal and entrancing, unflinchingly shining a light on this difficult part of history. Leslie has a PhD in English from Brown University, and she and her partner divide their time between Toronto and Hong Kong. So, Leslie. So these are your LiterASIAN authors this year. So let's have a big round of applause for them all.
Hey, welcome. Okay, I'm going to remind everyone, authors' books over there.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How's everyone doing? This is LiterASIAN, so we're going to have some literature, some readings right now, which is great.
We're going to have some readings, everybody. We're going to have some readings.
So gather a drink and some food and sign those silent auctions. We have 3 Ricepaper Anthology authors with us today who are going to read from the new Ricepaper Anthology. And David, I believe there's 1 hour left to go in the silent auction.
Yep, there's the silent auction. There's some really cool dog biscuits over there, okay? Along with human biscuits. So please, have a look at what's on the silent auction table.
And the authors we're going to hear from tonight are Li Charmaine Anne, Celine Chuang, and Lisa Zhang. And David, you can kick it off for us.
Li Charmaine Anne, okay, is a BFA student at the University of British Columbia Creative Writing Program. She grew up, resides, and writes on unceded Coast Salish territory, otherwise known as Vancouver, BC, in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Charmaine's writing often involves young people discovering identity, music, board sports, and natural spaces. Passionate about diversity and representation in media, Charmaine's work has appeared in Ricepaper magazine, Plenitude magazine, Sad Mag, and Disc Order. Li Charmaine, there you are. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the food. Okay. Just a special thanks to the Ricepaper team for inviting me here today. It's an honor to read for everyone here. I'm going to read from my creative nonfiction piece, what I learned from my piano lessons, which I think is something that a lot of Asian Canadian kids these days can kind of empathize with, piano lessons. So I'll read an excerpt from the middle and the ending. But then you become old enough to dare ask, is this an Asian thing? Because really, you're just one musical instrument playing, acne-ridden, spectacle-wearing Asian immigrant child out of thousands. Thousands who become better than you, like the boy you grew up with and down the street. He's playing with the National Orchestra while you play with your four white walls. And what about all those kids in Europe? What do they do? All the world's symphonies and concertos, operas and musicals come from that continent, yet all you ever seem to see are prodigies with straight black hair, anglicized surnames, and an ambitious mother never too far away. Maybe you'll go to France one day, to the hometowns of composers like Ravel and Debussy, Fauré and Satie, artists you learn to admire after all exams and the context and the hours spent perfecting Fantasia Impromptu were over. So, as you mark theory homework for neighborhood kids, you wonder why it's such an overdone trope for East Asian parents to make their kids learn violin and piano. Is it a brand of internalized racism, of longing for the civilized West? Or is it for trading of the mind, to conquer anything, as your father still says? White people have hockey and basketball, after all, so maybe that leaves Asian people with piano and violin. And then I'll read from the end. It's a fair day. You twist open the blinds, and the last streams of sunlight filter through. Commuters have left the main road nearby, so the silence lets birdsong in. You lift the lid off your piano, sweep off the burgundy felt covering, and sit down at the bench. You lay your fingers on the keyboard, gently, almost with a flourish. It's muscle memory from all those competition days, so who can blame you flourishing within your private home? One breath, and then you begin, the first two pensive notes of Debussy's Clair de Lune. Your piano teacher once mentioned that she didn't allow too many students to attempt this piece because it was not easy, both technically and emotionally. You've always been a little smug about this, but that was years ago, and this is now. You guide your fingers through the one piece you have practiced the longest and abandoned the latest, and despite a few initial hiccups, its melody has never left your tendons as your fingers craft out the notes. For once, you stop obsessing over your life and think of Debussy instead, not as a French composer, but as a man gazing alone at the moon with manuscript paper open on his lap. Just like that Chinese poem your parents quote now and then, that one by Li Bai. Moonlight shines before the bed. Can it be frost upon the ground? I lift my head and see the moon, lower it, and think of my hometown. Thank you.
Thank you, Li Charmaine Anne. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage Lisa Zhang. She's a doctoral student in clinical psychology at UBC, where she studies the side effects of perfectionism on the development of relationships and psychotherapy. And when not writing academic articles, she writes fiction and poetry, and her work is often informed by her background in psychology. So I look forward to her reading. Please welcome Lisa Zhang.
Hi everyone, thanks for inviting me here. It's really lovely to be here and be in a room of so many incredible people and to see so many faces here that are so friendly. So I'm going to read a poem from my poem in Currents, which is called The Gardener. I heard from my mother that I must be a complete person before I can love. Well, I have been an architect. I have poured concrete for years, and I have a brutal building that looks built to last. That's a mistake, to try to outlast life. I will never be whole. For all my learning, I know less than Socrates. But I do know this. You deserve something that grows. Let us be gardeners. I want to love you in a tangle of vines. I'll peer through the mess of green, and there you'll be, okay with me as I am, as I cry inside a fleece like a child, or cut down enemies with my mother's tongue. Let us tend to our garden each day. Each night, there's a routine. The light of a little lamp for us to share. We sleep in a small jungle until I am in dreamland. You are senseless till morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. You mentioned architect there, and that's it. Oh my God, that's what I do for a living. Pay my bills. Okay, we have the third person, Celine Chuang. Celine Chuang is the daughter of immigrants and a prairie transplant currently working in the downtown east side. Her work has appeared in Ricepaper, The Volcano, and G's magazine. Wake, the story published in The Current, was nominated for the Journey Prize. Please welcome Celine Chuang, everyone.
Thank you. So this is from a short story called Wake that was mentioned in my bio, and I'll call it semi-fiction. Rain is blurring windshields and spitting from street-side sewers the day Benoit arrives at the airport. His nut-colored face floats abreast of the huddle of arrivals, and when he sees me, he smiles with almond eyes squashing upwards, showing no teeth. "You've done something stupid with your hair again," I tell him. I push my fingers through the garish blue stripe over the crown of his head, map out the bumps of his skull. His hair is soft and crinkly like old coffee filters. Yeah, I cut it. He stoops to hug me, pressing his nose into my shoulder. He looks older, spine curved by the heaviness of long flights, bad posture, and the appropriation of grief as it has been handed along the family tree in portions. There are a lot of us, so there's plenty to go around. Back in Vacua, Popo used to make rice balls with black bean sauce, and the only pot she had, and the thick charcoal-colored liquid would seep into the broth as she stirred it. Rough wooden spoon in her sinewy little arm, there was always enough for dessert. "Mangez, mangez," she would say, forcefully waving us over with the spoon. Dessert is like grief in this way. The way our family has doled it into bowls, fought over the rest with false martyrdom. "Who did your hair for you?" I pull back a little to stare at him again, his fisherman pants and dip-dyed t-shirt. God, you look like a hip-hop dancer. I wondered, too quickly, whether he picked out his outfit before or after he heard the news about Kung Kung. Then guilt seeps in, flooding the bottom of my stomach. "A girl in LA," he smiles, still showing no teeth. "It's good to see you, Addie." "You too, Benny." I mash my face into the soft t-shirt fabric and fight the quiver. I always hated crying in airports. Benoit smells faintly like dry sun and sweat, California hitchhiking on his skin. We stand there as others mill around us, going to the baggage carousel. I can feel my spine beginning to curve. Popo and Kung Kung moved into Vacua, a small town by both Chinese and Mauritian standards. They bought a house, put up fences, bought guard dogs and chickens and clotheslines. Popo had 8 children, including Benny's mom and my mom. Because they were the poorest in the middle of having all their kids, Mum is the smallest. If you lined up all 8 aunties, their heights would form a V. Popo sent all of them to school. They were taught in French. Outside school, neighbors, storekeepers, and friends spoke Creole. None of the aunties, the yis, can speak Chinese of any kind. Popo and Kung Kung learned some Creole, grudgingly, painstakingly, enough to say manger, enough to say hurry up, sit down, go to sleep. 8 daughters, Kung Kung said to Popo and Haka as she cooked dinner. Yes, and they're strong. Popo didn't look at Kung Kung. When he was sitting in his TV chair with his striped pajamas on, he was extra stubborn. 8 daughters, he repeated. Was it too much to ask for one son? He changed the channel. I should have gone to the temple more. I didn't pray enough. The ancestors can't change what was in here, Popo said, patting her stomach. She was lean again, having shed pregnancy like the new outfit she could not afford. Get your feet off the table. I still remember waking up to heavy fog and honking horns, and wondering if Vakwa was something I made up. All throughout middle school, I'd dream of palm fronds coming blue skies, sugarcane breezes, and Popo's sweet black bean soup, the sharpness of overripe mangoes in the marketplace, searing sunsets that lingered on the rim of the ocean at night, as if the world were ending. Sometimes I still have them, sudden and bruising, wake up sore like I've been underwater and struggling to surface. Thanks.
Thank you, Celine. Okay, these fine authors are on the collection of anthology, the Ricepaper Anthology. So they're available for sale here at the front desk. And the best thing is that some of the authors are here. Get their autographs, okay? And don't forget about our silent auction table. And it'll be closing in about half an hour or so. There's some really great finds over there, some really rare books and some magazines.
And then we're going to, just take a moment to do the silent auction and look at the books, and we'll be coming back again in about another 20 minutes to give out the long-awaited prize. And also, we have a video for you to watch. And so enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, writers and friends. The silent auction closes at 8 o'clock, so we got about 15 minutes left. So I got to really push. I'm going to check each one of you, see if you guys bought a book or put a bid on it. It's delighted that we introduce tonight our jury. The jury was chaired by Professor Glenn Deere from the University of British Columbia English Department.
Thank you very much.
Glenn, thank you.
Thank you. So it's a great honor to continue this tradition that was envisioned by Jim Wong-Chu, our very good friend. And we honor, I think, his memory and his legacy with the award this year. So the procedure for this evening is that we are actually going to announce a short list followed by an announcement of the winner. So we have some suspense. So some people have asked, well, you're the chair of a jury. How did you decide the strong submissions? What were your criteria? And we actually do have criteria that I am actually going to speak about today to make everything really transparent. So what were we looking for? Well, first of all, we were looking for distinctive skill in the crafting of poetic language and form. We were looking, secondly, for very thoughtful and persuasive engagement with compelling ideas. Third, we were looking for innovation or originality. Fourth, consistent evidence of strong elements throughout the manuscript submission. And finally, fifth, we were looking for the potential for development as a real publication. So those were the criteria. But I would also extend my respects to the other members of the jury. And if I think they're here, so they could step forward as well too. So the jury consists of Fiona Lamb. Fiona Lamb, right there. The lights are shining in my eyes. Thank you. Fiona is an award-winning poet, essayist, editor, and creative writing teacher. And Yilin Wang. Yilin at the front here, thank you. Yulin is a fiction writer, poet, and journalist who is pursuing her MFA in creative writing at UBC. Notably, she's also the poetry editor at Ricepaper magazine and a member of Room magazine's editorial collective. So, as jury members, we independently assessed all of the submissions and we collectively arrived at our final decision through voting. Our jury members had to recuse themselves if they had previous significant educational or professional contact with a candidate, so all judgments were therefore impartial and at arm's length. Alan Cho, executive editor of Ricepaper magazine and director of our wonderful LiterASIAN Festival, was present throughout the consultative meetings by the jury, and he provided oversight. I also really have to take my hat off to Alan for providing such tremendous leadership and calm guidance throughout this process. We are honored to be part of a jury that sustains the important work begun by our friend Jim Wong-Chu. Jim always looked for ways to encourage young and upcoming writers and to expand the range of Asian Canadian writing. We are hopeful that this legacy is continued in our selections for the shortlist this year. And now, drum roll, please. And the shortlist consists of the following candidates in alphabetical order only, and we extend our warmest congratulations to the following. And, again, underline, this is alphabetical order only, okay? So our first shortlisted candidate is Carla Commanda. And our second shortlisted candidate is Francis Du. Our third shortlisted candidate is Pic Xuan Feng. And our fourth shortlisted candidate is Carolyn Wong. My warmest congratulations, and on behalf of the jury, our warmest congratulations to all shortlisted candidates. Now we will introduce our very special guest, our announcer for the winner. I would like to introduce Catherine Hernandez. It's my honor and great pleasure to introduce Catherine Hernandez, who is the 2015 co-winner, along with Philip Nguyen, of the ACWW Emerging Writer Award. Catherine Hernandez is she's our proud queer woman of color, radical mother, activist, theater practitioner, burlesque performer, writer, the artistic director of Sulong Theater Company, and the owner of Out and About's Home Daycare. Her one-woman show, The Femme Playlist, premiered at Buddies in Bad Times Theater, October 2014, as part of the After Rock play series co-produced by Be Current, Eventual Ashes, and Sulong Theater. Her book, Scarborough, published by Arsenal Pulp Press, is Catherine's first full-length work of fiction, and she is very honored to have received the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop Emerging Writers Award and to have been shortlisted for the Half the World Global Literati Award after just trying her hand at the art of fiction storytelling. Scarborough was written after several years working as a home daycare provider for Scarborough children. So it's my great honor to welcome Catherine Hernandez to announce the winner. Please warmly welcome her.
Hello there. When Jim had called me to tell me that I had made the shortlist back in 2015, he told me that my life was going to change, and it did. And so the plan was that when I was going to be part of LiterASIAN this year, was that I was going to rush to see him and to tell him that my life did change. Right now, I am shortlisted for the Toronto Book Award. Right? I'm really happy about that, especially because having been part of theater, that I did not know that I even had a chance in this industry, and he told me that I had a place. So I was going to tell him that, and unfortunately that's not the case now. I am so honored to be here to present this award. In my play, Eating with Lola, the final line reads, "Lola, wherever you are, I hope that you have a refrigerator full of your favorite foods and a table full of your favorite people that are waiting to receive their favorite meal from you." Now, Jim, wherever you are, I hope that you have a beautiful landscape to look at, a table full of paper, pens, highlighters, a laptop full of battery power, just to write your own work, because all of us are here on Earth, doing the work, the legacy that you've already left behind. So I want to say that whoever this winner is, I'm here for you, just the way that Jim was for me. And that I'm hoping that whatever guidance that I can give you will be just as valuable. And your life is going to change. So here we go. Congratulations to Carla Commanda.
So just before I give the floor to our very deserving, highly accomplished winner, Carla Commanda, I would just say that on behalf of the jury, here are some words. The jury found that Carla Commanda's highly accomplished poetry salvages family memorabilia to unpack the complex layers of Filipino-Canadian immigrant experiences. With transnational scope, she explores the fraught lines of kinship, ethnic divisions, language, politics, religion, and food. These poems traverse cities, countries, and oceans. This collection is remarkable for its well-crafted and fresh poetic language and its courageous drive to confront the abusive legacy of the American and Japanese occupation, including the issue of comfort women. Our deepest congratulations to Carla.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't think I would cry, but that's too late. There's a few people I want to thank. I can't even speak right now. First of all, my supervisor, my +1, Ria Chung above, is here. Without her guidance, I don't think I'd be able to write my poetry collection. I just finished my MFA at UBC, and when I came in, I was very insecure. I wasn't sure where my writing was going because I was just very discouraged, and Ria was the first person to tell me to write whatever I wanted. So thank you, Ria. Your mentorship really means a lot to me. And yay. And also, thank you to the jury. I really appreciate the kind words that you've given my manuscript. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to my family and to everybody who made this poetry collection possible. This year, it's been a whirlwind. Next month it will be 20 years since my father passed away. And last month, I lost a very special. I lost my lolo. Last month, and he was very close to me, and I promised him that I would come back, but that's not going to happen now. But at least I have something to show this. So I have something to show for him. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, family picture time.
Wow, congratulations. That was really beautiful, both of you. Yes, it is family picture time. So I think first we would like all of you who were just on the stage to come back and take a picture. Also, the jury members, please come on down. So Yilin Wang, Fiona Lam, and Alan Cho.